What's up, everybody? This is David Williams here at South Shadow Studios. We're here with Keifer Johnson. Oh yeah, strike a pose, Vogue on Talky Tuesdays. Yes. So
Was
I'm
that voguing enough?
in like
Perfect.
the Eddie's Attic little bar area, and we're just chit chatting, and I put my cup down.
Oh God!
And you just went, "Oh, E flat," and I was like, "What the hell is wrong with you, man?"
I have to get stuff like that out of my system.
And I knew that, but it's just been so long. But really, man, my solo cup on the table.
I've done worse. Like people have burped in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, D." Like actually, phenomenal bass player. When I first met Dustin Williams, and I told him,
Dustin, here we go.
I told him I have perfect pitch. His first reaction was like, "Wait, no way!" And then he pulled out his bass and started playing random notes. I don't enjoy telling this to people because now it's not even now. It's like as long as I've known I had it, every time people just, "Hey, what's this?"
That's true. And you know what? I think have I ever done that deliberately to you?
Not when we first met.
Okay, yeah. When I first met, well, that's obligatory. But since then, I never had because I am a good friend.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Well, yeah, and it's just funny. The first person you bring up is Dustin because Dustin has been on a lot of work here at South Shadow because he's the bomb.
Dustin,
as is pretty much everyone who's come through here. I would have to say, he's the bomb.
Yeah, no, Dustin is one of the greatest bass players in Atlanta, and I will go so far as to say the Southeast. I truly wholeheartedly stand by that.
Yeah, well, this interview is about you, all right? And you're like probably one of the best trombone players in the Southeast.
5 out of 10.
Take the compliment. I think you and I have been extraordinarily blessed in that, we have often been outclassed in the groups that we play in. And that's just like, I would argue that there's maybe only one or two things better for a musician's development is to play with people who are better than you.
Yeah.
Not so far better where you get kicked out or you can't cut it, but it's fun. It's like the ride or die thing.
Yeah, no, that's the beautiful thing about Atlanta. That's the beautiful thing about this city is that it's so big, but it's so small.
It is, but it's spread out. You can go, we're in Marietta. You can go just across east, to like Lawrenceville, which, that like you could meet a guy who plays in Atlanta, but like he lives in Lawrenceville, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're like a badass,
right?"
And you happen to live here, but you play in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, like, and that's Atlanta's such a hub because, yeah, it just is. Like when I was coming up in the scene, everybody would be at these various jam sessions.
Mm-hmm. Elliott Street, Cats,
Northside Tavern, Apache,
yeah.
You name it, and it would just be incredible musicians that really forced you to step your game up.
Yep. And then you'd go home, and I was one of the ones at the time, like when I met you back in 2016, I was happy to know that I wasn't the only one driving across town, like back to Duluth from Midtown or from East Atlanta. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one who just happens to live completely outside of the musical hub.
Yeah.
But still in the hub of Atlanta because it's just so spread out.
It's what you have to do. Like Atlanta is it's one of those cities where everything is happening, and it's like you have to be in the center of everything.
Yeah.
In order for that to happen. And in a lot of cases, because everything is so spread out, you have people coming from Stone Mountain or Fayetteville or in Alpharetta just to come into the city to test their chops and network and do all of these things because that's just what you have to do here.
Absolutely. Well, let's turn back the clock a little bit. When did you were you always attracted towards music, and did you know from a young age that you were going to do that, and then subsequently Was trombone always your thing, or did you try out other instruments first?
So I've always had a gravitation towards music, which was kind of weird because I grew up in a family full of accountants. So when the fascination started, everyone was just kind of like, how did that happen? I'll be like a little kid at the piano, just like mimicking melodies that I would hear on the TV, attributing that to, at the time, I didn't know but perfect pitch.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just led to me learning recorders, singing a chorus, doing anything musically that I could to kind of just nurture that. And actually, with me playing the trombone, that was not my first choice of instrument. I wanted to start on saxophone.
We got to cut that out. Will Hollifield doesn't need to know that.
Oh yeah, no, please. For the record, trombone is my favorite instrument. It's so much better than saxophone in every single last conceivable way. But I was 11 years old and naive. Like, leave me alone.
Hey, you know what? We're there.
But no,
I've been there.
My band director at the time told me, "Oh, we have enough saxophone players." That's kind of like the universal story for people that have just been in a band program.
Yeah.
I was like, we have enough of this, Ishmael. Why don't you try trombone? Your arms are long enough.
That's what happened with Paul McCartney and the Beatles. I mean, it's what happened with my own dad. It was just like, hey, we have enough of this. Try this one. And then they become incredible at it.
Yeah, no, it was... Trombone was something that I did not think that I would love. But, like, 8 months later at the end of the school year, it was like, I want to do this all the time forever.
Yeah.
But just balancing that with, like, kind of just the reality of, like, a family that's just kind of like, no, music isn't a viable career. No, you have to get a real job. Which there's merit in, but...
Well, and I know a lot of people could relate to that. I myself, even though my father was a musician, I still had that kind of... I didn't hear that statement, thankfully, miraculously, until high school, and just a stranger that I was talking with at like my first, restaurant job,
right,
was like, "You want to be a musician? There's no money in that." Just the stereotypical reply, and it hit me. I was so shocked by that statement, and I realized, wow, I've never heard that. Most people my age who want to be musicians have heard that just left and right, and I know, like you've shared with me, that's always just been something that not even just in, family, that people always just say that. And it's like, no, this, I do it. It's not even that you're trying or that you're moving towards a goal. It's like, you can do it. You can always have goals and you're always striving to be better, like you said earlier,
right.
But it is possible to do it, even if you're not, world famous. You can make a very good living at this craft because there's so much to do in it, even if you don't perform, even if you don't teach.
And that's what a lot of people, don't realize, it's music is not this linear thing, despite what the American Idols or the America's Got Talent might try to convey. There's so many different avenues if you want to be a musician. And there's so many musicians out there that people just aren't aware of because they don't advertise themselves as like the artist or the person in front that's like getting all of like the attention. There's so much things that happen behind the scenes that people are just so unaware of. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. When, like, after high school, what did you do after that for like education, and then like how'd you like get in on the scene in Atlanta?
Oh man, so that's so initially I went to school for psychology.
That's right.
I listened
got
to
a real job.
Yeah, no. It was just kind of like, you have to do this real thing because music isn't real. It's like, okay, music isn't real. I'm gonna go learn psychology now and like help people that way. And while learning about it, I really enjoyed. I kind of realized that I did not want to do this for a living. Right. If I was going to be around unstable people, I wanted to be around unstable people with my trombone in my hand. Yeah. I already had a few major gigs under my belt. In 2008, I had the wonderful opportunity to play with Neo, the Grammy award-winning R&B artist.
Wow.
as well as like in 2011, like my freshman year of college, having the opportunity to play for President Obama.
That's
for
awesome,
Easter
man.
Sunday.
Beautiful. Oh, I didn't know it was on Easter Sunday.
Oh yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah. No, I got to worship with the president.
It's beautiful, man. It really is.
So, it was weird because I had all these gigs under my belt, but I still had like this overwhelming crowd of people just kind of saying musicianship isn't like a real job. Being a musician doesn't pay bills. This and the third.
And you're studying psychology, which, obviously that's not just some chump degree. That's a ton of grunt work and just stuff, that is not an easy major.
Yeah, no, it's
all.
It's a lot of years and a lot of money for a job. While it's so valuable and it benefits so many people.
It like the arts, it is undervalued.
Very
in
much
this society.
so.
It is in a different kind of way.
I have so many friends that followed through with like completing their doctorate in like psychiatry in whatever field, and they're still like making underneath $75,000 a year, like still in that apartment, like with no prospect of like actually owning a home, which is
it's just criminal. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I was learning more and more, I kind of told myself in 2014 that like, once I'm out of school, let me give myself some time to like actually see if I can make music this viable thing for me.
Right.
If not, like I'll go to graduate school. Like that's not a problem.
Just like, let's take 2 years to figure it out. Like, let's follow the dream. You've, like you said, you already had great gigs under your belt. You knew how to play your instrument. You'd studied your instrument, obviously, And so you're like, okay, let's see what happened. I kind of did opposite in that I just played and practiced, played in church a lot, did a few, gigs. And then when I met you in 2016.
Right.
From 2014 to 2016 is when I went to just college to do core classes, but I was really just kind of doing that to please, the people who were like, oh, go to college, even if it is for music. But I was just like, I'm not even sure I need or want to go to college for music for what I want to do. And then I met you 2 years later in 2016, and we were at a very different position, in our lives. And then I went to school the following year.
Right.
So you should still do it. It helps.
Like life has its like everybody's journey is so different. Life has its ups and downs. And I don't know, I would still advocate like, hey, go get your degree, have that backup plan.
Right.
That's just for me though. I know a lot of people have the mentality of no, like you want to put your all into music, but I don't know, being 28, living a life like sleeping outside in Colorado. It kind of
Should we tell that story? I don't think we should tell that story.
We could go into that story if this interview doesn't have enough humor.
Well, because see, like, it doesn't. You have to take it in context. Otherwise, what you have just said paints your musician life so much more negatively than it actually is. Okay. I think.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll tell the Colorado story. Okay, so, David, you and I met in this band called The Sagas.
Yeah.
Which was really great, really phenomenal music overall. It was so much of a learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
So around October 2016, two of our members decided to move to Colorado. And shows started to be booked out there, and like band members started to be called out to do shows. So when we got to the place that we were staying at, I'm not going to name names or paint a picture too vividly. I'm just going to say... Yeah. When I got there, I ultimately made the decision that sleeping on the floor outside would be cleaner than sleeping in this house. So, we're in the mountains of Alma, Colorado. It's like one of the highest elevated, civilized cities, like in the U.S.
Which is cool, and beautiful, but
it's October, and so it's the mountains, so it's already started snowing.
We're not in Atlanta anymore, Toto.
Oh man! So made that decision. I was already here. I was already going to do a show. So I was like, all right, you know what? Roughing it for 3 nights in Colorado, under the stars, literally. I can take that. I could take that. Which overall was a good experience. I saw a meteor shower. One of the beautiful things about being out in nature like that, away from society, is